In this video, I want to share how I utilize color in photography that is not commonly spoken about in other tutorials, and that is to go past the technicalities of white balance and color profiles, but to dive deep into people's subconscious. Before people even understand what they're looking at in your photograph, they already feel what you communicate with your colors. If I show you a circle or a square, you can call that out by name easily, and we would have 90% of the same understanding of what that looks like, because shape has hard boundaries, whereas color is a slippery thing. It's a bit more abstract, vague, and it doesn't fall into a neat little box-like shapes. Color presents itself as a continuous spectrum. It's a fluid gradation, and we might have different understanding of what the same color feels like or looks like. Because of this, naming a precise color becomes a remarkably tough task. But at the same time, trying to name a color is vital, because in art, it's not so much about technical categorization of where the color falls, but it's more about the sensation of what that particular color gives off. Burgundy red, dusty green, a lavender violet, for example. A specific shade of blue isn't just feeling blue, it's about the isolation or perhaps the stillness in the horizon. So what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. A little bit of change of environment from previous videos, and hope you guys are liking what you see so far. Smash that like, subscribe if you will to watch all future contents. My name is Gabriel Leung, an artist, photographer, and educator. I love art, I love the commercial side of photography as well, and I want to bridge the gap and help people understand how to level up. I teach about art and design principles and how to apply those in your photography so that you can go far. The skills, the techniques will come along. Not so much worried about that. You'll find all those videos online anyway. I want to teach something that doesn't really exist, or at least not in the fashion that I teach. I also do one-on-one coaching, and a lot of students, they get to grow and apply quickly, whether they are professionally working as a photographer, whether it's more about leisurely understanding how photography can bridge into the art realm. All kinds of students at all ages. If you're interested, find out more in the description. Without further ado, let's continue with the topic. In photography, I would say we face a unique challenge that painters rarely do. Unless you're working in a studio with a complete controlled environment, we're stepping into a world of streets, of landscape, interior, exterior, of chaos, mixed colors, and everything is just a big mess. If you want your images to have a deliberate artistic impact, you cannot just accept any color into your lens. You have to practice what I call framing by elimination. By understanding a scene and limiting the colors in your composition, you start to strip away the visual noise and allowing the core emotion of an image to communicate clearly with the audience. To master this elimination of color, we first need a simple language to organize this chaos. Color theory can be incredibly dense, but for our purposes as photographers, we want to understand this through three simple dimensions: hue, brightness, and saturation. Hue is the identity of the color itself, the distinct position on the spectrum, whether it's red, green, or blue. Brightness, or what painters call value, is the light or darkness carried within that particular color. You can imagine mixing a little bit of black or mixing a little bit of white to make a color darker or brighter. But obviously, for painters, they would tell you never to do that. And saturation is its purity or intensity. How loud is the color screaming at you? But beyond these three dimensions, artists categorize colors by its psychological weight of warm and cool. In my last video, we talked about how light creates space and how brighter objects projects outward and darker objects recedes. Color operates in a very similar spatial plane. Your warm colors like the reds, the oranges, the yellows, they would come forward closer to the viewer. It's active, it's intimate, it's immediate. Cool colors like your blues, greens, and purples, they tend to recede into the background, evoking a sense of distance, quietness, and space. when you start to understand this push and pull dynamics, you stop just taking photos of colorful things. You start to construct a visual hierarchy in your composition. Let's break this down into 3 actionable tips where you can take away and transform your work from a chaotic snapshot into a curated composition. Tip number 1, finding harmony. In art history, particularly if you look at Impressionists, visual harmony is created by choosing colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel. We call these analogous colors. When you look at a chaotic environment, look for a dominant hue and see if the surrounding colors share the same DNA. For example, if you are shooting a green landscape of a forest, you're not just looking at green, but you're also looking for the yellow-green when the sun hits from the side, or the blue-green that is hiding in the shadow area of the background. By framing your shot to only include these neighboring hues, you eliminate emotional friction. Harmony creates a sense of peace, a mood of tranquility, or a seamless transition of atmosphere. It allows the viewer's eye to wander across the frame without being suddenly stopped by a jarring, unrelated color. So the next time when you go out and shoot, look for a family of colors living in the same neighborhood and let them tell a cohesive story. Tip number 2, spotting complementary contrast. On the flip side of harmony, we have complementary colors. This is where we look for colors that sit directly opposite to each other on the color wheel. For example, red and green, yellow and purple, blue and orange. Now, a lot of photo tutorials would probably tell you to go out and spot these complementary colors, include them into your frame, and boom, you have something quite solid as an impactful composition. But from the perspective of art, colors being too saturated will start fighting for each other. It will create a kind of visual fatigue. The secret of mastering complementary colors is to understand subtlety and spatial awareness. So think back at what we have discussed about warm colors moving forward and cool colors sinking into the back. Each pair of complementary colors actually has a warm and a cool color. And so with that understanding, let's say if you see a subject that's bathed in a warm hue, an orange lamp in an evening time, you see this vast cool blue background and you just place that lamp in a particular location in your composition, the vastness of the blue surrounds it. You're not just utilizing one particular contrast of color, you're using both color contrast and spatial contrast. The subject practically leaps off the flat surface of the photograph. And remember, you don't have to shoot neon signs to achieve this kind of complementary contrast. Look for subtlety like the sandy beach against a cool gray ocean, where the tension between the warm meets the cool isolates your subject and tells a very cohesive story beautifully, in my opinion. Tip number 3, single color tone gradation. Our third tip pushes us even deeper into the art perspective of single color tone gradation. This is the ultimate exercise of framing by elimination, where you strip away all competing hues entirely and leaving just one color family. When you limit the canvas to a single color tone, you are shifting the viewer's attention to the sub-properties of what we have discussed earlier, brightness and saturation. And essentially, you are painting the values of a single color. Think of Picasso's Blue Period or Monet's cathedral paintings in different times of day. By anchoring the image to one hue, the subtle shifts from light to dark becomes incredibly powerful. A single color gradation forces the audience to focus on shape, form, texture, and the overall atmosphere. This creates an almost meditative and immersive experience. So what do? I look for an environment where it's swallowed by a single condition, like a foggy morning where everything is rendered cool, gray, blue color, or a midday sun in the desert where everything just becomes beige. If you can master the subtlety of a single tone, you can master the soul of your viewer. As always on this channel, I want to leave you with the +1 tip that will help you to instantly elevate your level. And for today's topic, it's about the balance of color ratios. When you are pairing complementary colors, harmony isn't achieved by giving them equal real estate within your frame. Giving 50-50 to blue and orange will create a violent clash between the two colors, and they will fight for your viewer's attention. True compositional harmony comes from manipulating their proportions. Because complementary colors almost always consist of a warm and cool color, a good rule of thumb is to allow the cool color to dominate your frame, say around 80%, the small but powerful 20% for the warm color. The vast cool tone acts as a quiet canvas, allowing the warm accent to pop beautifully. But here's where it gets interesting. You can apply an artistic twist by flipping the script and reverse the ratio by changing the saturation and brightness. If you really want that warm color to dominate your frame, say 80% of your composition, you can turn that intense, aggressive, warm color into a dark, desaturated rust or soft pastel-looking version of it. Because it is muted or pastel, it loses that loud energy and naturally recedes into the background. Now your remaining 20%, that cool complementary, can actually be loud and saturated. This creates a stunning, unexpected balance, where the cool becomes the vibrant focal point that is anchored by a gentle, warm environment. So to make the most out of what you have heard so far, here's a take-home tip for you. A shortcut to learning something so deep and wide like color is to fake it till you make it. The book, Steal Like an Artist, probably read by some of you. You really have to learn from the expert first. See how they do things and try to do it in your way, and then you will start to build up that muscle to develop your own style. Go to exhibitions, look at photographers' website, look at photographers who you follow on social, and look at their images, how they eliminate colors within the single frame, and also the whole website, the whole portfolio, the whole exhibition, the whole Instagram grid. In most cases, you wouldn't find chaotic colors screaming for attention, but more like enjoying a curated fine cuisine. The cohesiveness becomes so important that you start to understand it's more about what you exclude instead of what you include into the frame and into the entire collection of images. So that this perspective on colors changes the way you will look at your next frame. What resonates with you most? Is it finding harmony, working with a single tone, or playing with color ratios? Let me know down in the comments below. The levels of these tips can get more and more difficult, so I would challenge you to go out and shoot, try to apply these. You will see the rewards as you practice more and develop your eye to see things differently. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram so that I can see you improve. If you missed out on the last video about understanding light in photography, do check it out. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Man, this is heavy.